Stand for the pledge, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. This is Monday, March 6th. If you have any questions, comments, or business with this body, come up to the microphone, give us your name and address. State your business. Call the roll, please.
Cedar.
Here.
Gottler.
Here.
Kufa.
Here.
Laporte.
Here.
Hall.
Present.
Volz.
Here.
Councilmember Watt is absent.
Motion to excuse Watt. Support.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 4, consent agenda A, City Council minutes of February 20th, 2023. Regular meeting, recommendation approve.
I'll make that motion. Support.
Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5A, we are fortunate tonight we have Dan Lockwood from the Community Foundation to make some presentations. Mr. Lockwood, welcome.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, today I come representing the Community Foundation of St. Clair, and particularly the St. Clair Endowment Funds. The St. Clair Endowment Funds are a collection of 8 funds whose primary purpose is to fund activities in St. Clair and the surrounding townships. Therese has been very busy training our new superintendent, because I think the first thing he did was sign a number of grant requests. And I'm here to tell you the awarding of those grant requests. The first request that we received was partial funding for the Hanging Basket program. We have funded this to the tune of $5,000. It's important for people to understand that we only fund a portion of it. And the way we judge community support for a program is we see how much funds are raised from other sources. So though you got $5,000 this year, you may not get that next year, particularly if the community doesn't support the program. Another beautification project that we supported was the Military and Service Memorial Garden. Therese wants to do some renovations on that garden, and she requested $14,000. This program is being supported by the American Legion, who's going to provide some money and a lot of labor to make that program. So it's a total of $19,000 for beautification, and these funds came from the Oskin Fund. Some of you may have remember Ernie and Barb Oskin. Ernie was the founder of Huron Plastics, and before they left the community, they set up a fund to fund primarily beautification programs in the city of St. Clair. Another program that Therese requested funding for was the YAPS program. And what she wanted to do was help subsidize the day trips that the kids do when they participate in the program. And we are providing $3,000 to subsidize day trips. And this is coming from the Mary Moore Fund. Miss Moore was a lady who lived in St. Clair, and she was an advocate for children's care and programs. And we thought that she would really appreciate funding this program. The rec department also, as you know, runs a series of concerts in Palmer Park. Therese asked for $6,000, which again is just a portion of the program, and this is another program we will be looking at community support for the program if we're going to continue funding from this. And this funds of $6,000 came from the Citizens for St. Clair Fund, and this is one of my favorite funds. This fund is made up of over 200 people in the community who have donated money to the program, and they continue to donate to it. Donations may be as small as $5 or $10, and some are several thousands of dollars. One of the advocates with this was Fred Moore. And for those of you who may not know this, but Fred used to have a policy when he was in town. He liked to meet with a new person, somebody he didn't know, every Tuesday at LaCroix's when he was in town. And most of us learned if you went to one of those lunches, it was one of the most expensive free lunches you ever had. He was very passionate about this program. This program, again, funds activities in the city of St. Clair and surrounding townships. We also were asked to fund $15,000 for the Jazz Festival. And again, those funds were split between the Citizens for St. Clair Fund and the DSLT Fund. The DSLT are the stock symbol for the Diamond Crystal Salt Company. And when the Diamond Crystal was sold to Axle Salt, I think it was back in the 90s or the early 80s or late 80s, Fred put a portion of the money aside and set up a foundation, and he called it the DSLT Fund. And then the last, which is passionate for Mr. Laporte, is we're funding $5,000 for the 4th of July program, and that's funds also coming from the DSLT Fund. And I don't know how many people know it, but Mike informed me that there'll be 2 barges this year, so still 20 minutes, but a lot of fireworks. So, Mayor, in total, we have $48,000, which we're giving to the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. You can come anytime you do that. Dan does a lot behind the scenes, and we appreciate that. Okay. Number 6, ordinance resolution 23 MDOT agreement amendment, Kearney Drive. Kern?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In front of you tonight is a revised grant agreement from MDOT for the Kearney Drive resurfacing project. We recently took bids for the project. The bids came in significantly higher than what we had anticipated. We applied for this grant about 2 years ago in conjunction with Magna Electric Vehicle Systems. We applied through a Transportation Economic Development Fund grant, Category A, which is for new developments coming into the city, and we applied to resurface Kearney Drive from Fred Moore all the way to Range Road. After the bids came in, we had several discussions about trying to get additional grant funding for this project, and we were successful in doing that. Originally, the grant was for $863,000. We were able to receive almost another $600,000 in grant funding to go towards the project for a total of $1.455 million in grant money. There was a 20% match that the city does have to cover on that, so the city's share would be just short of $364,000. And then the city would also have to pay 100% of the construction, administration, and inspection fees that go along with the project. So because of the change in the amount, the council did approve a grant agreement a while back on this. Since we've gotten additional funds, a revised grant agreement does need to be approved and is in front of you tonight.
Well, need a motion to approve the resolution 2308 to amend Kearney Drive MDOT project.
So moved. Supported.
Motion made, supported. Questions? I have one, Ryan. I think one. Can engineering be covered by the grant?
No, engineering is 100% by the city.
What was our original amount out of pocket for the city estimated to be?
The original, I want to say it was around, I can get you the exact number, but I want to say it was around 280,000 originally.
So increasing
It went
by
up to about 80,000, yeah.
$90,000.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Do the costs of engineering go up if the cost of the project goes up?
No, it did not.
All right, call the roll, please.
Hall,
Yes.
Volts,
Yes.
Watt is absent. Gottler,
Yes.
Kufa,
Yes.
Laporte,
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. What is this? Oh, this is for the... All right, we're going to make an adjustment to the agenda. I've just been notified by our attorney that we're going to need to add under new business.
I know it'll be under
Number 6?
under 6.
Under 6. So this is resolution number 23-9, confirming the authority of Superintendent Quentin Bishop and Mayor and/or Mayor Cedar to execute any and all documents related to the closing of the real estate transaction between the city, the I-69 International Trade Corridor, Local Development Finance Authority, St. Clair Number 1 Development Area, and Magna Electric Vehicle Structures. Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, Your Honor. I do think that there needs to be a motion being supported to amend the agenda to put this item on.
So we'll need a motion to amend the agenda to add this item.
Supported.
All right, the motion is made by Kufa and supported by Paul to add B under ordinances and resolutions. This agreement that Downey's going to explain here in a minute. All right? You want to do that right now? Oh, just a voice, okay. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Your Honor, and members of council, before you is a proposed resolution that simply memorializes the decision that was made at the February 20th meeting approving the purchase agreement between the city and the LDFA. This essentially is required by the title company that's working to schedule the closing of this matter. They want to ensure that the city superintendent, the city mayor, anybody who's signing documents on behalf of the city has the express consent of council to do that. We know that they were given that authority by virtue of the vote that was taken on February 20th, but this resolution will be a paper document that can be added to the closing packet at the time the transaction is completed, which we hope will be in short order.
All right, so now we'll need a motion to approve this resolution if there's,
Make the motion to approve. I'll support it.
all right, the motion is made by Pong, supported by Kufa. Any questions?
Just one, this is strange, but this is 2309. Do we not have a 2308?
I was just looking at that 2308 right here.
I believe 2308, Mr. Vols, is the item that was just considered by council on the road project that Mr. Kern discussed.
I thought it was 2307.
It's listed as 7 on the
Oh, is it
agenda.
7?
I don't know, is that just a typo on the agenda?
It could be a typo. My apologies. When I received the new resolution for tonight, I went off of Ms. Sturdy's agenda of 23-08.
My only question. Okay.
Are you okay with that?
That's fine, Your Honor.
Anybody else with questions or anything? All right, call the roll, please.
Folds?
Yes.
Watt is absent. Gottler?
Yes?
Kufa? Laporte?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Downey. All right, let's go to number 7, reports of administration. Mr. Bishop, what do you got?
Just a quick update what's going on in the city. Tomorrow I'm going to be traveling to Lansing. I'll be attending the Michigan Road Preservation Association meeting. I think road maintenance has gotten to the point in the conversation where we need to have a conversation with many vendors, the new technology, what's available in the market, and I intend to spend tomorrow learning all about that and then making myself available to those vendors so we can talk about our issues here in St. Clair. It is an all-day event. I anticipate being back from Lansing probably about 5 or 6 o'clock tomorrow. I would like to extend a special thank you to the DPW, specifically Craig and Corey. On Saturday, we had an issue that after the entire team of Kevin, Steve, and Tony and Bob Beath were called out, clearing the roads Friday night, pulled an all-nighter, did a fantastic job. Actually received a few phone calls from residents just saying, hey, they were out there, the streets were clear. It gave me accessibility to get out onto the road and get to the store. They were running low on some things. Turned right back around on Saturday and attended to an emergency that we had at the water treatment plant. So hats off completely to those guys for stepping up and taking care of business in short order. Bob was able to communicate with them and deploy his team in a matter of moments. So very good. Last but not least, we are working with Eagle, and this is to receive a grant for the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. And what's required is a full-scale workforce development plan. We start looking at our employees and we start drilling down to certifications, and yes, they have to have them as part of working in Department of Public Works, but I think that we should be developing a long-term goal, not only certifying our people, but when we recruit people, keeping those trainings in mind. And so what does it take from this seat? It'll be identifying training programs, courses, either online or in person, people who can come into the city and train our people, providing resources that we can send in to our people out in the field, on the job training. But the certifications are very difficult. I've talked with Tom, I've talked with Bob, I've talked with Jeff, and to have their people certify at that next highest level, it takes a lot of work, and it's a tall task, a tall order to fill. So we're going to be bringing some resources in and some knowledge, and hopefully shortening that gap so we never fall short of having the right people at the right place. Okay? That's all I have for this evening.
Any questions from Mr. Bishop tonight? All right. B, Mr. Attorney, you have anything?
Nothing this evening, Your
Anything
Honor.
for Jim tonight? City departments, anybody?
Mayor, Council, I just want to let you know, tomorrow is week number 5 of our Citizen Academy. We have 11 participants, and it's going well, and they're very engaged. And if you're bored on a Tuesday night from now till, I think it's April 9th, just come out. We're here from 6 to 9 in this room. You can stay for 5 minutes or the 3 hours they're here, but just see what's going on. Tomorrow they'll be learning accident investigation and crime scene processing, and next week it'll be use of force, and we're even going to take them to high school and let them use simunitions on each other, clear a room, just see how that is. And we're going to end it at Port Huron Police Department has a virtual training room where a shoot, don't shoot scenario that they can actually participate in and see how hard it is to make those decisions in seconds. So it's going to be fun. Also came in last couple weeks requests for things that Annette and I determined doesn't need your approval, but I'm going to tell you they're coming. May 7th, the senior high school cruise that they've had since COVID is going to take place at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Sunday afternoon. We'll just stop cars like we do for a funeral procession, and they'll do the loop, Cox Road to Vine to M29 to Clinton and back to the high school. So if you want to see that. And then on May 20th, the Historical Commission is going to have the Hillside Cemetery Walk at 11 a.m. But we didn't feel that needed your approval, but I wanted to let you know they're going to happen, so, all right?
Thank you, Chief. Keep up the good work. Any other departments? All right, let's go to D, authorities, boards, commissions. Anybody have anything? We have no unfinished business. Number 9A, approved proposal for Kearney Drive resurfacing. Ryan, you want to give us one more little shout out here?
All right, this item is again for the Kearney Drive resurfacing project. This is for the construction contract award. We did receive 3 bids for the project. The low bid was from Raymond Excavating at $1,822,878.68. That's basically it. So again, we're looking to resurface Kearney Drive from Fred Moore to Range Road. It's also going to include drainage improvements. It does include the complete reconstruction of the intersection of Clinton and Kearney. Restoration, sidewalk ramp improvements to ADA compliance, driveway approach improvements.
This will be a total tear out and redo?
It will not. It's going to be a mill. Currently, it ranges from about 5.5 to 9 inches thick of asphalt. We're going to mill 3.5 inches off and replace with 3.5 inches, and then base repairs will be included where needed.
And what are they doing to the side of the road?
Pardon?
Side of the road?
Side of the road. There will be a 5-foot wide, so it's going to be 29 feet wide, the road. It'll have 5-foot wide paved shoulders, and then grass restoration. And there'll be some drainage improvements. I know there's a few spots that need some improvements as well.
This was part of our approved budget we went through before, right?
I think that's what we just amended, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah, yes.
Will we get to see the final drawings of this before?
Yeah, I can forward those to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the other question I have is, based on what we're going through with some of the condition of the roads that we laid down last year, what does the end of this project look like? Who does the inspections? Who approves at each of the steps of this? If we approve Raymond to do it, just talk me through how that works at the end of the project.
Yeah, so our office would have an inspector out on site full-time to make sure that the work is being done per the plan, per the city's requirements. We would do a final walkthrough at the end of the job with the city. And Bob Beath will have some involvement with the project as well. Basically, I'll be overseeing the work that's done. So every week I'll get reports back from our inspector as to what's going on. I'll be processing pay estimates on a monthly basis, making sure. We'll have progress meetings on the site. Probably this size of a project, probably every 2 weeks, we would have an on-site progress meeting with the contractor, make sure everything's per plan and everything's on time and on budget. Pretty much we're hands-on out there until the end of the project.
And just because you just mentioned the distance, you said it's a 29-foot
wide.
Wide.
Correct.
That's widening the road in several places, correct?
That's currently what it is at now in most locations. There
But
may
not
be,
with the
there are a few
5 foot-
locations. It's
But not
minor.
with the shoulder that you're listing, correct?
Yeah, there's some areas where the shoulder is partially paved and part gravel.
Okay.
Yes.
So the ditch locations on that road won't
Well,
change?
those will remain the same.
Okay. All my questions.
When did we think this was going to happen? Sorry.
I'll probably have a better idea once we have a pre-construction meeting with the contractor, but we were looking at starting this probably in late April.
Is there any other questions that we'll need a motion to approve the proposal for Kearney Drive resurfacing?
So moved.
Support. Any questions?
Still claiming 1374 South Riverside, right? I just wondered if it could be at one point or another, a total closure of Kearney, or is it always gonna be open, or?
It will always be open. We'll have one-way traffic the entire time. Yeah.
One way or the other, is gonna be any detours posted while this goes on?
There is a detour plan.
Do you know where the detour is gonna be? Because when you sent them down, when you redid the intersection, it was a mess. So I'm just curious if you know where the detour is gonna be when this thing's shut down.
Yeah,
Can you let us know?
Yep, I can do that. But there is a detour plan in the contract and in the plans as well. So it would be using either 9th Street or Riverside, Brown, Fredmore Highway. Clinton Avenue would not be part of the detour west of 6th Street.
I think the big concern is trucks.
Right, well, we want to keep trucks on the truck routes. Yep.
All right, anybody else? All right, call the roll, please.
Etler,
Yes.
Kufa,
Yes.
Laporte,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Volz,
Yes.
Wad is absent, Cedar.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go to B, license agreement. Mr. Downey?
Your Honor, before council is a proposed license agreement between the city and family on 2nd Street that would permit them to funnel their groundwater into a city easement. Before the meeting, I had a chance to discuss with several council members the particulars of the proposal and why the license agreement is being sought at this time. And unfortunately, I don't have the answers to that. I was just asked to draft it by the building department, by Mr. Boulier, and I understand he's not present tonight. So I don't know if that precludes consideration of the matter, or let the council decide how they wish to proceed.
Well, we can vote on it, or we can table it and get D in here next meeting.
I mean, what's necessitating this? I'm not sure I totally understand what's
Yeah, that's why we were
At play.
inquiring as to the degree we were. We just need some better background on what this is and why and how it's going to affect other things. I don't.
Are they draining to the front? Is that what their idea is?
I think it might be a question of there's standing water on the property that might have recently been developed. I think it might have been a vacant lot.
It was,
And now
yeah.
that it's developed, they find that there's water that just sits on the property. And apparently a solution that was developed with the city and this family was to permit the water to be drained onto a city easement. But that's the extent of what I know.
We can table it, we can vote on it, we can get D in here next meeting.
I'd like to make the motion to table it.
Table it.
Support.
All right, the motion made, support to table it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to C, purchase of 2023 John Deere Gator.
What you have in front of you is from a request from DPW Director Beath. He solicited for a quote for a John Deere Gator TX, and this piece of machinery is to replace a piece of equipment, a Jacobson Truckster, that was removed from the golf course about 2 years ago, and so they're down to a single piece of equipment. This piece of equipment is really, if you think about it, it's for hauling gravel, it's for moving sod, it's for moving things that a golf cart, even with a flatbed on the golf cart, is probably not going to move pretty well with. So I had asked him to provide bids. He did provide a state-approved quote from AIS Equipment, and for the state-approved quote, I believe it forgoes the 3-bid process because they have been bidded and they have been quoted at the lowest price. And so I did a little background on this too. So I said, hey, if we're replacing a Jacobson Truckster, and we're going to a John Deere, let's go look back at the Jacobson. Is there a better deal out there? Quite frankly, they're quite expensive as compared to this particular model that Mr. Beath would like. So this would be used at Pine Charles Golf Course. There is fund availability in his fund. I've double-checked that, and he would request that this purchase be made so he can have this for the season.
So this is coming out of golf course fund, not quick equipment pool?
Correct.
I'm sure this was asked, but there's no redundancy in equipment from other, like we just bought another piece of equipment for snow removal, some other things, those seasonal equipment, vehicles.
Correct.
Is there any crossover because of the seasons, the usage, like?
I don't know if they could deploy, I don't know that answer. I don't know exactly what was bought in terms of snow removal for sidewalks. I do know that we have a John Deere front loader that has a couple implements on the back and a salt spreader in the back. I don't know if that piece of equipment would accomplish exactly what he's trying to accomplish. I don't want to create any redundancy. I just know this was a replacement for what was taken away 2 years ago.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess my question is, it says $44,000 in excess revenue. Didn't we loan them $100,000?
Yes, and that was at a separate time, and they are paying that back back to the general fund, and that $44,000 is in excess of that loan payment. The loan payment's already scheduled for, so it's in excess of what they were already scheduled
And the
for.
$100,000 is spent, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Is this what they have left of the $44,000? Is this?
No, that's in excess of what it was budgeted for
top of
last year,
$100,000.
on top of.
Is that part of the golf cart sales? The old ones? Where was that funded?
No, it's in addition to. So the $44,000 came from last year's green fees, cart rentals, junior golf clinics, things like that. So the entire budget from last year, they were net to the good $44,000. We haven't realized the benefit yet of the sales.
I'll need a motion at this time to approve the purchase of this.
One more question. How do they accomplish what they needed without this last year? If this was taken away from them 2 years ago?
They took the truckster and they just did double duty. So it just took them that much longer. What they're doing this year is they took the ground millings from the road and they'd like to expand the actual path, laying in more gravel and millings, and they only could do so much. They're not accomplishing their goal of getting more path down because they're lacking a piece of equipment. They're making it work, but they just don't have the right tools for it.
Didn't we just buy a Bobcat that could do this?
Well, that's what I was wondering. I wish Bob was here to answer some more of these questions of
Yeah.
what equipment we have over there. As soon as the meetings fire up next month, I'll be at the golf course. I'll be able to ask more questions.
Is this a necessity to?
I mean, as far as timing goes, how much time, do we have enough time to table this to get a couple more answers real quick?
Sure.
the
There's
next
no,
meeting and-
I mean, we can make a purchase at any time.
I make the motion to table it for
Yeah.
the next meeting so we can just get a couple
I'll
more.
support that.
Right. Motion made, support. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's go to the D, approve purchase of Caterpillar excavator.
Well, this is going to be even more interesting then. Okay, so the same lead, DPW Director Beath. He did receive a state-approved quote for a Michigan Cat. This is a model 306 AQ excavator. This is a larger piece of equipment. Currently, right now, the equipment pool, this is where the fund will be generated from, has in excess over $800,000 in it. What we're requesting to do is to replace an existing piece of equipment. It's a 35-year-old excavator. It's currently in operation. They recently had hydraulic lines repaired into this piece of machinery that was in excess of over $6,000. So it's at the stage of its life right now where repairs, maintenance to keep it operational is becoming it's not cost effective. They probably have a few more years left on it, but the trade-in value right now is at $30,000. So the total amount with the trade-in value, what we would spend is $73,444.46. In a purchase like this, I thought it was imperative to put my eyes on it. So I actually went to the DPW garage. I took a look at exactly what they were asking for, met with all the men out there. They walked me around the piece of equipment, showed them what they were talking about. It looks nice cosmetically because they upkeep their equipment and they keep it clean. But when you break back the hood and you start looking at the lines and you start looking at the movable parts that need to be replaced, there's obvious signs of wear and tear. So the question is, you replace the piece of equipment now and then pay for the maintenance and the upkeep of it and just run it till the wheels fall off? Or do we take the opportunity to cash out what value it does have and replace with a more efficient piece of equipment?
Did you have the opportunity to talk to them about what the usage is?
Yeah, so this would
Frequency,
be primarily used in like a road repair situation where they're taking out chunks of gravel, they're taking out big millings. This would come with a bucket. They also have an implement for it where they're actually crushing the concrete. So there's compaction in this. It's a heavy piece of equipment. It's not light equipment at all.
So the piece of equipment is actually $103,000?
Correct.
And the one they're using now is 35 years old,
Correct.
and we can get 30 grand for the used one?
Yes.
Is it more beneficial to us to trade it in or try to sell it on the site? Trade it in.
I know a little bit about equipment prices, and I think that offer is pretty good. I don't really know the avenues it would require us to go through to sell it. I don't think it's worth making. I don't know if we'd make $2,000 or lose $2,000.
Probably not worth it.
And we don't have to pay sales tax on the new piece of equipment.
Correct.
Right.
I know in a lot of cases there's reciprocation trade value on sales tax, but that's not coming into
It's not a
play here.
component.
So you're comfortable looking at the equipment and talking to them, it's important that we have this equipment and its functionality, it's a good time to replace.
I'd make that recommendation, yes.
I'd like to make the motion.
I'll support it.
All right, the motion made and supported to approve the purchase of the Caterpillar excavator. Questions?
So does this come with the implements that you suggested we already own, or do those work on this machine?
There is some compatibility. There is I forget the actual implement itself, that it would have to be purchased at a later date.
So we're losing abilities we're stepping backward on what our capabilities are then by purchasing this in a way.
I would say momentarily, the efficiency that you're going to have with this particular outfit versus what we do have now.
Do we have any idea of the price of the implement that we'll need down the line?
No.
Any other questions? Yes.
More of a single use.
Amendment 1374, South Riverside. You know how many hours are on the old one?
No, I don't.
Okay, now I'm reading on here, it's excavator. To me, is this thing got rubber tires on it, or is it tracks? Because an excavator has tracks on it. A backhoe has rubber tire. There's a big difference between the two.
Right.
So does this have rubber tires? Is this a tractor, or just an excavator? Because if it's got tracks, metal tracks on it, my question is, how are you gonna get it from the DPW yard to where you need it?
Again, this is shaping up to be a Bob Beath question.
And the reason I ask, because I've been around equipment, and an excavator is on metal tracks.
I think it has 16-inch rubber belt tracks.
So it's a
That's what I'm
backhoe.
reading.
It's not an excavator.
Rubber.
Well, rubber belt track.
Rubber belt track,
Yeah.
okay. So
Which
you're gonna
would-
cat this thing down the road, or is this thing gonna go on a trailer and take to where needed? Or I guess my question is, how are you gonna get it from point A to point B?
I mean, the current one we have is on tires, isn't it? Is it the one I'm
Well, if
thinking
it's on
of?
tires, it's a tractor.
Right, but I mean, isn't that what we're talking about replacing right now, the one that I'm thinking of?
Quentin, did it have tires, wheels?
Yes, it did.
Backhoe.
They drive this on the
Yeah.
road, the piece
So
that
that's a
we're.
backhoe. This has got rubber tracks on it. So my question is, you're not gonna run this thing down the road to get it from point A to point B, correct? Because you'll be putting
Can't.
rubber tracks on
Right,
it
we're gonna
yearly.
trailer it.
Okay, so my question is, you got something to get it from point A to point B? Or are we gonna get surprised and have to buy a trailer or pay somebody to transport it for us? That would be my question. There's one from DPW to this side of town, it's quite a ways to cat a piece of machine down the road. If you can, ain't you?
I don't know, I guess
Bill, what's the top speed of an excavator?
Not very fast.
4.
You can outrun it.
Yeah. But you can get the backhoe moving. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like we might not have the right piece of equipment to me. I'd make a motion to table it till we find out
Yeah,
more.
I would support that if I need to.
We have a motion on the floor already, don't we?
We do.
Yes.
Can we rescind that motion?
Rescind the motion.
The motion to table supersedes.
All right. All right, the motion to table, we'll get Beeth in here next week. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Beeth is gonna come and talk about gators and excavators. All right, E, purchase of Channel 6 camera and equipment.
Yeah, this is a purchase that could have been made without council approval. It does fall below the thresholds. Essentially, what's happening is there's a capital outlay budget amendment that needs to occur. We've implemented a new policy here within the city just to help us track any type of budget amendment. I think in the past, if there was a budget amendment happened either at halfway through the year or at the end of the year, what I've asked them to do now is anytime that they would like to increase a line item that has not been budgeted, they need to fill out documentation to show where the money's coming from, where we're taking it from. So in this case, we're just simply moving it from capital outlay, which had a budget of 0, which is interesting by itself, and we are moving it from fund balance, and the fund balance right now out of the 285 account, which is the Channel 6 account, currently has just north of $250,000 in it. And all we're doing is we're moving it out of fund balance and we're moving it into capital outlay so they can buy the equipment that's needed.
So this doesn't need our approval?
No, there's actually there's really two separate purchases here. One is for equipment and the other one is for the actual cameras. Combined, they're over $10,000 where we need board or council approval. But individually, they're less than, and they're actually two separate purchase orders. So I guess this is more just of an announcement that we're going to be just doing things just a little bit differently when it comes to budgeting and budget amendments. And so it's not sprung at us and we're wondering where the money is. We're actually going to have amendments tracked in real time, and we'll make those adjustments to the budget in real time so we know where we're at all times.
That's great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. We'll go to F, special event, Legion Post Memorial Day Parade.
We received a request to have the annual Memorial Day Parade on May 29th. The route will be the same, Vine to M29 to Memorial Park. We're going to do a complete road shutdown again for the time of the parade. Once everybody gets off M29, we'll open up M29. So 30 to 45 minutes, the road will be closed. But all the paperwork's in, and I recommend you approve it.
We'll move.
Support.
Questions?
Chief, they said the route is going to start at 6 this year. I remember we shortened it last year.
We shortened it last year, but we had some logistics issues
Yeah.
with parents and band and
Yeah.
cars, and
Those
so we're
vans.
just going to move it back.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Easier for your kids to walk than
Definitely.
the vets, but
Yeah, I know. Well, we could stage them, we can talk about that.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Chief. Claims of the Council number 10, February 23rd, and March 2nd.
Hearing no question, Charlie, I make a motion to approve as presented.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Number 11 is public questions, public comments. Anybody have anything?
I got one.
Phil Lundman, 902 Clinton. I'd like to make a comment about your paving job on 10th Street. It's a very nice job, but there is a problem there at the corner of 10th and Cedar. I don't know if you've driven down it lately, but it's just last fall that they paved it. And the west side of 10th Street on Cedar is dirt road, and it's all running down towards, well, not all of it, but the biggest portion of gravel and stuff is running down onto your nice new pave job. You may have to entertain doing something to that street like you did on the corner of 8th and Clinton, was it? Where the road was running down. Take a ride down there and take a look and see what you think, because my son lives on that corner, and he's complaining to me about it, and I said, well, maybe I'll bring it up one of the meetings, so since there was nothing else on the agenda, I thought I'd just drop that by. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Anybody else? All right, we'll go to number 12. Anybody, council, have anything? All right,
Hearing nothing else, Your Honor, I make a motion to adjourn.
thank you, yes. Yes, keep John Watt and his family in our prayers. John's brother Doug passed away. Thank you. All right, the motion is made to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Have a good night, everybody. Be safe. Thanks for coming, Mr. Lockwood. Thank you.